To order the fourth regular meeting of the Board of Lake County Commissioners. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remain standing for the invocation. Dear God, please bless our meeting today. May our decisions be fruitful, our discussions wise, and our community strong. Amen. Amen. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Here.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here.
Commissioner Pnik.
Present. And now we begin our first public portion. Anyone who would like to address the Board of Commissioners, please approach the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Pnik. I'm here just to hand you a check, a refund from Porter Wright. Supreme Court refunded court costs and filing fees because we won 6-1. It's my pleasure to give you the refund check. Here you are, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Very good. Anyone else for public portion?
Good morning, folks. Tammy Gaber, 6023 Ford Road. I just wanted to say briefly, it saddens me you've taken steps to silence voices of the people who you profess to serve. I realize that you may believe that is a waste of time to listen to people to bring your concerns. And yes, sometimes our concerns are repetitive or off topic and may seem unimportant. But for some people, this is the only place they feel they can actually be heard. And maybe you cannot help with the topic that we speak on, but there are other people in the room and at these meetings, and these meetings are broadcast, and maybe someone else can hear our plight and help. I also realize that sometimes people call you out or hold your feet to the fire. I understand it may be difficult to sit and listen to people that dissent with your opinion, but that is a choice that you have made when you signed up to be an elected official. Also, to those who have come up to this podium to take advantage of our inherent right to peaceably assemble in this public forum and express our grievances, I remind you that this is not only a right but a privilege. I remind you that you are publicly speaking, and you may not agree with those who sit in the chairs before you, but you need to be respectful of the forum and others in the room and those who are viewing this assembly. You set the example for children that may be watching this process or in a room with their parents who are watching. It is not appropriate to be vulgar and to use this forum for vulgarity. Hateful speech is not what our framers had in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good morning. Every morning I play a New York Times word game called Connections. Today one of the sets of words...
Can we get your name for the record?
I'm sorry, I'm Kathy McAdams. I'm at 9730 Yellowwood Drive in Concord. Thank you.
Thank you.
Today one of the sets of words were assess, charge, fine, and levy. The subject words were impose as a penalty. Just 13 months ago, I stood before you and detailed why an increase in the sales tax was a very bad idea. I told you how it would cripple senior citizens, how it would harm those who already live paycheck to paycheck. 2 of you voted for it anyway. And you rescinded it after backlash that you should have researched to begin with. A few things have changed since then. The tax levy for Concord Township and one of the 2 mentor school levies failed. Both will be back on the ballot within the next 20 months. Mentor is already talking about going for 5.9 mils as early as this November, if not then by spring of next year. We already also know that the state is demanding property values be increased by 30%. It hasn't hit Lake County, but everybody knows it's coming. That means a 30% increase in new tax revenues for all property owners. The people, the very people who live in Lake County and who you were elected to office by, have said a resounding no to your sales tax increase. I did some cursory calculations, and I'm a nurse, I'm not an accountant. My property tax is roughly $5,260 a year. If my property value goes up 30%, my taxes will increase by $2,000 a year. If Mentor gets their 5.9 mils, my taxes will go up another $1,000 a year. If Concord goes for their millage of more than 5 mils, it's another $1,000 a year. Please tell me, at the age of 68, where I'm supposed to get $10,000 a year for property tax. My Social Security raise was only 3.2% this year. I heard recently where certain commissioners hell-bent on increasing taxes, and they tried to convince the coroner that a morgue at Tri-Point that the county gets to use for free isn't good enough and that the county should own its own morgue. I can't imagine that it will be cheaper than $1 million. Both items are a waste of money. I'm sorry, the morgue is a waste of money. We already have a great one that's not even 15 years old. I appreciate that one commissioner is against new taxes. I hope upon hope that the newest commissioner will say absolutely not to new taxes. The man on the commission the longest has never seen a potential tax increase he hasn't liked. One more thing that I noticed today when I came in, that you guys can solve immediately, or the administrator can solve it immediately. There's lack of visitor parking for more than 30 minutes. So all these people had to probably park over at the JFS lot. There's no reason you can't allocate 20 spaces for visitors over here outside the auditor's office for visitors to be able to use, and the employees and the elected officials and everybody could park over at the JFS lot. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion? Mr. Massi, I think you got your hand up first.
Brian Massi, 8196 Rainbow Drive. I want to again emphasize what Mrs. McAdams mentioned about the property taxes. I have done some extensive research, and we've been calculating how much each municipality will receive in this sexennial revaluation, and what the estimated cost would be to each of the homeowners, based on their taxing districts. I've asked the auditor's office to review our numbers, and when we do get that approval of the numbers, we will disseminate that to the people of Lake County. The basic problem people should be aware of, not only is it county, but also your municipality and in which you live, but there's also going to be the school taxes, school districts, and that's where the big problem is going to arise. And not to get too involved in the weeds, but there's what we see happening is there's something called the 20 mil limitation that applies to school districts, and that is when House Bill 920 reduces the millage to an effective tax rate. When that millage, including the inside millage, reaches 20 mils, the outside millage is treated like inside millage, and we will see very large increases. Of the 600 school districts in the state of Ohio, 300 are at the 20 mil limitation. My concern is that this may be just this year, maybe just a wave of a tsunami that's going to engulf a lot of seniors in Lake County in 2025. And we just had this week 86-year-old woman call us. She got her tax bill. She can't pay the bill. She's asking us for our help. So what we've done is we have asked for an appointment with the treasurer to find out what are the payment options. And this is just the start. I went down today and I paid my tax bill. And I jokingly said, "You want an arm and a leg with this too?" And the reply was, "No, that'll be next year." So it is an issue, and I just want to make everybody aware that we will educate the people when we get approval from the auditor's office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Massi. Anyone else? Mr. Music?
John Music, 45 Coventry Drive, Painesville Township. And I've spoken about this before, and yesterday afternoon, I spoke at my trustee meeting, and I'm going to say the same thing back to you. And I want to thank you, Mr. Pnik. You had come out and said, "I will not raise taxes," and I thank you for doing that. And, just like I was at my township meeting yesterday, and of course, we passed a levy to add road deputies. And those gentlemen that sit back there, it's a priority for us. If we do not have law enforcement and or our military, we've got to make sure that they have the tools they need to do their job. And that takes a priority over everything. So, and tonight I'll be speaking at Riverside School meeting. So it'll be 3. They just love me when I speak. But anyhow, beside the point. I just want to remember, and I told you this, there's a difference between politicians and public servants. Politicians serve themselves, public servants serve the people. And not everybody's going to agree all the time, but it's just the idea, you do what you believe is to be right. And I agree with that. And the thing about it is, remember I keep talking about being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. And I'm going to read that real quick again. The careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one care, that is the tax dollars that we the people give to you. Same thing with the township, same thing with your school board. We give the money to it. And then last, and I've mentioned this to you before, haste makes waste. And it says here, used to say that doing something too quickly causes a mistake that result in time, effort, materials, etc. being wasted. Included in that, I would put money / tax dollars. When you make your decisions, make good decisions, not just a decision. Make a good decision for all the people of Lake County. It was 232,603. Well, changes by the hour. But I'm just saying, may not be the best for you, but make it what's the best for the people. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion?
Hello, I'm Gloria Majewski. My address is 2717 Greylock Drive in Willoughby Hills. I'm here on behalf of the Willoughby Hills seniors to express my deep concern about the denial of the senior tax levy for the city of Willoughby Hills when all the other cities who applied have received the awards they requested. We were happy to welcome Commissioner Regovich and Director Boyd to a meeting on Tuesday in our senior center with Mayor Hallam, the Willoughby Hills Senior Board, and members of City Council and administration. This meeting served to provide an answer as to why the city was rejected, with Director Boyd taking full responsibility on his judgment to make the decision. His reason was the fact that he claims the My Senior Center software that is being used to track visits show a reduction in individuals using the senior centers, and for that reason, he made the decision to accept no more senior centers into the funding, even though Willoughby Hills was provided an application with the thought that the future looks to close or consolidate centers. Unfortunately, we brought to light some points that made his assessment flawed, including the following. Number one, are all attendees signing into the system? I witness at senior centers where they are not. Number two, according to the Senior Service Advisory Panel meeting minutes of November 15th, one senior center was being reviewed for the amount they were charging for their programs after resident complaints were received. Has this been investigated? Are seniors staying away because they're being charged too much? There's a current shortage of Lake Tran drivers. That will affect seniors not being able to get to the centers. We're fortunate to have seniors who live at Willoughby Hills Senior Apartments and can walk to our senior center. In addition, many seniors come to the Willoughby East Lake Library for a book or a tape and can take advantage of our senior center services while they're there. The contingency fund of $150,000 to $500,000 was established as a sub-fund for the senior tax levy, yet I see on applications that refrigerators are being purchased and HVAC is being replaced out of the senior tax levy fund. Shouldn't the county be offering the contingency fund instead for these expenditures? In Aaliyah Abarage's 11/28/23 award letter, an additional $50,000 was added to each grant award. If there are financial concerns, just why was that done? Menor, using Civic Rec tracking software, their application does not agree with the county's assessment of reduced usage of the centers. They added water exercise, group fitness, exercise classes, and trips, as well as hired 2 new fitness instructors and 5 new classes. Why an increase, not a reduction? Finally, in the MCG Consulting Service Report that the commissioners received to evaluate the senior population shows a chart that substantiates that Willoughby Hills is second only to Painesville with African American seniors. Your decision not to fund the senior centers has a definite discriminatory impact on the city of Willoughby Hills. The report also contains a section entitled Emerging Issues and offers the following text. The current system appears to lack an appropriate process for determining needs and spending resources. Aside from the fact that we were denied based upon a flawed tracking analysis, there are definite concerns as to how the denial was handled for the city. Mayor Gardner did several public record requests to find out why our seniors were denied after receiving a vague denial letter on December 6th. With regard to concerns about how the denial was handled, let me offer the following county events that led to this.
Ma'am, could you come to your conclusion?
I will let one of my other seniors take over from here if my 3 minutes have expired.
They are.
Thank you.
Good morning, Suzanne Chalk, 610 Pebblebrook Drive, Willoughby Hills. No one ever reached out to the city of Willoughby Hills to explain the denial or allow us an opinion to reduce all of the awards by 7% to make it fair to Willoughby Hills to be included. Aaliyah is a great asset to the county, but there needs to be some policies and procedures put in place for her to provide a fair process, utilizing the expertise and input of the 5-member panel to prevent how Willoughby Hills was received to never occur again. The following occurred for our application review process. Aaliyah provided the panel with a spreadsheet for her recommendations, admittedly not reviewed by Director Boyd in advance. There were no interviews of the applications, as had occurred the previous year. There was no mention that new applications would be reviewed at a later date. As noted in 11/9/22 minutes, she walked into this meeting with a spreadsheet only, with a big 0 next to the city of Willoughby Hills. Number 2, one member asked to see the applications, not just a spreadsheet. Aaliyah promises to get the applications to the members, but will need their opinions back within 5 days. If she did not receive an email, she said she would call them. Number 3, 2 members emailed Aaliyah their approval. There is no record of approval or denial of the other 3 members. Number 4, after the meeting, none of the members' input is documented or done in accordance with the Ohio Sunshine Law as a public body. Number 5, calls to the commissioners have produced an abundance of results why Willoughby Hills was denied, but Director Boyd's response on Tuesday to our group and taking full responsibility for this action is conclusive. In closing, after speaking with Commissioner Regovich and Director Boyd, we report that proper protocol was not followed to make the determination to exclude Willoughby Hills seniors. The decisions being made about the future of the senior senior centers is flawed and deserves a second, more thoughtful look. We want this board to correct the errors made in this determination so that Willoughby Hills has funding for its seniors for 2024 and beyond. We appreciate your prompt consideration of this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Cordos?
Hello, my name is Scott Cordos. I live at 2360 Trailer Drive in Willoughby Hills, Ohio. I am just wanted to comment in regards to the senior center issue. I recently ran for city council in District 1. During that time, I did some campaigning and I talked to many of the residents, and they thought that the Willoughby Hills Senior Center was not a very good program. Many of them stated that they didn't use the program. They prefer to go to the Willoughby program. They offer a lot more amenities and things for the seniors. I also attended a city council meeting recently where they stated they want to build a movie theater for the seniors. When I mentioned that to the residents, they also thought that that was kind of a waste of money, that if they want to watch a movie, they could just do that from the comfort of their own home. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Mary Ellen Basansky. I live at 2505 Mapleview Lane in Willoughby Hills. And it was suggested that some of the seniors go to other cities for a senior group involvement. With the homes spread out as they are in Willoughby Hills, it's important that we have somewhere to share information about our city and meet others that live within the city. Often we learn of other seniors that are in need of help in our city and that we can assist them. And those things quite often come to light in conversation at our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Morning, Commissioners. John Mara, 39 Minnewawa Drive, Timberlake. I'd like to comment on the property tax increase. I guess the question is, I don't understand how they would do their evaluations when you have, for example, in our community, we have many seniors that are on fixed income, and a 30% increase in their property tax would obviously devastate them. And these are seniors that basically don't even have money to keep their houses up. And basically, as we know, every year, when a house is not kept up, it actually depreciates, not appreciates, because once it's sold, then a lot of improvements have to be made. So that's what I guess I don't understand, is how they can increase taxes on property that is not sold and that is just there. And again, why a person then also that keeps their home up, improves it, makes the value, keeps the value increased, then the value will be increased, and of course their property tax will go up when it gets reevaluated. Again, I see a person getting penalized twice because they're investing money into their home to improve it and make it worth more, but then again they're going to be increased in taxes when it gets reevaluated. So I guess the entire evaluation system, I just don't understand how they can just arbitrarily raise it 30% across the board for everyone, man, woman, and child, and every age group, whoever owns a house. So I guess, it doesn't work for every scenario. I mean, I can understand if a house increases in value, or when it's sold, there's basically profits made on the house. That's one thing, okay? But I guess I don't understand is how a house can go up in value when no improvements have been done to it at all, and it's just sitting there and actually just gets older with age. The roof gets older, all the HVAC gets older, everything else ages in the house that's going to need updating sooner or later. And I guess that's one thing that I don't understand as far as that goes. But something needs to be corrected and addressed as far as that is, because again, our seniors in our community are going to get the brunt of it, and they're the ones that can't afford it the most. But thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, Jenna Bing, 36951 Beach Hills Drive in Willoughby Hills. Actually, I've been watching on Facebook a lot of discussion about the Willoughby Hills Senior Center. I knew from attending meetings that they were applying for a grant, and I always wondered because I've been down to the Senior Center, and it's a room. It's a room in the basement of the community center, and that was always what it was. And what I learned at the city meeting was that when the community center was built, I don't know if this is true, but when it was built, the seniors wanted a room. and they wanted the room and they were going to take care of it, and it was their room, and the city should just stay away. I'm like, okay, makes sense. Now, I started, because I was curious, I started asking. I've been to there before, and I've been to some of the lunches that they have. They have like a monthly potluck lunch. And I've gone because the program sounded interesting, like our fire department talking or something like that. But I will tell you something, they're not welcoming. There's not a whole bunch of attendance. It's not an open place. It's not very welcoming. And it's just not a pleasing place. You're in a room in the basement of a community center. I think that your all's support for existing major professionally run senior centers in our area, that's Kirtland, that's Willoughby, that's Wycliffe, one of those is over there. And they are nicely run. They are open, inviting places. They've got so many things going on, and I would rather my tax money be given to support and continue and expand those programs. I expect that your all's support makes them affordable for anybody. At Willoughby, it's $18 a year if you're a non-resident. At Kirtland, it's $12 a year. At Wycliffe, is it Willowick or Wycliffe? Whichever the one is over, probably is Wycliffe. It's $10 a year to attend. I would willingly pay for those, and I have encouraged my brother-in-law to pay and become a member of the Willoughby one. They are welcoming, they're professionally run, they have people that know how to encourage and get people involved together and talking. That is not what I see at ours. It's like a clique of seniors. I have asked how many people attend the things like the knitting and the pinochle and the mahjong and the bridge, and it was crickets. And I think it was crickets on Facebook because they know they don't have very many people attending already. I'd rather your money be spent supporting those that are up and viable and running, and the city of Willoughby Hills could probably help them with their $18 or $10 or whatever their annual fee if they want to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilwoman.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Vicky Miller, 2857 Hayes Drive. And as Commissioner Pnik mentioned, I am a councilwoman for the city of Willoughby Hills. I am here today because I was asked by our senior citizens to stand here and be supportive of them. I really wasn't planning to speak, just be here and supportive of them today. But when I hear misinformation being presented, I have to speak up. I speak for our residents and whatnot. I attend and am a member of the senior center as well. I do that with my mother. So we have two generations of senior citizens attending the events here. We had somebody speak about attending events. This is a person I haven't, after being involved for many years, I have not been in attendance with this person at a senior luncheon before, so I'm not sure where she's getting the information, but this is a valuable tool that we have in our community. It may just be a room. We've spent a lot of time supporting ourselves, and it's a time where we're stepping forward and asking for a little bit of help from the county, because there's a senior levy fund, and we're given an application and the opportunity to ask for that to just make some improvements. Like every senior center, things shut down during COVID. We're starting to ramp things back up. This is a place that's very welcoming, and we have a great group of people that come in. We have new people come in. I've made some great friends with new residents that have come in, and things like that. And again, we had somebody mention about walking around and talking to people about the senior center and saying that it's subpar or whatever, or it's not good. We have many programs. We have our police, fire, mayor come in and present different things. We have speakers come in with valuable resources, speakers that come from our community, people that come from the county that have brought valuable resources to our city. I think over the years, they've done a great job, but we're at a point where we have individual people paying out of their pocket to support our seniors in our city, which I don't think when the county has resources available that it should be that way. And like was mentioned, we have walkability here. We have people that
will pick up other seniors in the city, but, it's harder, especially with the Lake Tran not running because of lack of drivers, to decide that I want to go to the potluck this time and try to get a week before a Lake Tran to come pick you up because you don't drive. It's difficult. So I'd like to see that this is reconsidered by the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, everybody. Dale Fellows, 2812 Fowler Drive, Willoughby Hills. Many years ago, a very wise elected official at the time told a young guy, me, that there's nothing more important than how public entities spend their public funds, our tax dollars. And I want to give kudos to Jason Boyd. I've known Jason for many years, and that senior committee for being prudent and making sure that there's fiscal responsibility when there is tax dollars being involved. So I agree, and I agree with the points that were made by two other speakers, Scott Cordos and Jenna Bing, regarding this senior room, because it is not a senior center. It is a senior room. I'm a 40-year resident of Willoughby Hills, so I know from where I speak. I've been on most boards and commissions in Willoughby Hills. Been very involved with the community for many, many years, 30 plus years. And I agree with the premise that when I've gone into that meeting, sometimes I feel welcome, sometimes not. I've been to many of their lunches. Same thing. Sometimes you feel welcome, sometimes not. And I've been door to door, I would say, more than anybody probably in the city of Willoughby Hills, and knocked on more doors than anybody, and I get the same reaction. In fact, just a few years ago, we had people, seniors, saying the exact same things that we're saying, and what are they doing? It's just a little clique. It's a little group of people that have some fun, and that's great for them. But spending tax dollars to the degree that they're asking, no. I mean, there's also, it's a tiny population of the whole seniors in Willoughby Hills that do anything at that particular senior room. The lack of credibility historically, too, of some of the organizations. I'm not sure who is Seniors Inc. or whatever it's called. On the website, it looks like it's from 2020 or 2021 was the last postings, I think, if I remember right. Maybe 2022. But there's just a lack of credibility historically with some of the folks that are involved. And we want to make sure that the tax dollars are used prudently and effectively throughout the county. I've been to all the senior centers in Lake County numerous times. So I know from where I'm speaking. I've helped them win those levies over the years and made sure that our tax dollars are being used prudently and efficiently and effectively throughout the county. So again, kudos to Jason and the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilwoman.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tanya Draper, and I am a councilwoman in Willoughby Hills. I'm at 29027 West Miller Road in Willoughby Hills. The term clique is very apropos here today. There's a lot of that clique going on here today. I think what's important to mention, Mr. Boyd and the folks who decide that, there needs to be a more objective way of deciding who gets what. Having folks awarded money and then re-awarded more money seems very unfair. And I think there needs to be a more objective way of deciding who gets what instead of who likes who and who doesn't. I think in my mind that's where it's coming down to, and I think that's a shame for our citizens here who are taxpayers. I'm a taxpayer myself, and I really don't like the way the decisions are made about who gets what as far as this senior levy is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Doris Dodge, 37881 Milan Drive in Willoughby Hills. I'm a Willoughby Hills taxpayer and senior citizen, and I am outraged to hear that my tax dollars could be wasted on a fake senior company controlled by Gloria Majewski. Not long ago, she was in charge of our senior program in Willoughby Hills, which was referred for criminal investigation to the Ohio Attorney General's Bureau of Criminal Investigation, the Ohio State Auditor's Office, and Lake County Job and Family Services on the recommendation of the Lake County prosecutor. Although no one went to jail, it became public record that Gloria Majewski had inherited the home or been named as a beneficiary by seniors she should have served and protected. I don't care whether or not someone goes to jail. I believe it's dangerous to put someone like her with a record of personally profiting off of her relationships with seniors in a position of authority. Lake County could be legally liable if you choose to fund the personal nonprofit, which she calls Willoughby Hills Seniors, Inc., and then she inherits yet another house or estate from a vulnerable or isolated senior. You have the responsibility to protect the seniors of Willoughby Hills and our Lake County tax dollars from this. I am a proud member and volunteer at a real senior center. In fact, I even teach a class on how to make custom greeting cards at the Willoughby Senior Center. There are 5 senior centers within minutes of any part of Willoughby Hills. We are blessed to have Wickliffe, Willoughby, Willowick, Eastlake, and Kirtland senior centers to choose from. They are administered by qualified professionals who have never been criminally investigated for elder abuse or undue influence of the seniors they are sworn to care for. Willoughby Hills residents will be furious if they find out that you voted to waste our tax dollars by starting a fake senior center with almost no members and no real programming. Only someone who's truly evil tries to profit off of vulnerable seniors. Do not let us be victimized yet again. You have a legal duty to protect Willoughby Hills and all Lake County seniors, and you can be sued if you fail in that duty. I will also tell all my friends in Willoughby Hills to never, ever vote for anyone who would put seniors at risk. In closing, I say this on behalf of my fellow Willoughby Hills seniors. If anyone tries to get you to change your will or your trust to leave your house to them, please call the police immediately. Don't trust the overly friendly person who offers you cookies in return for looking at your will or your checkbook. Elder abuse is a diabolical crime and it must be stopped. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public portion? Anyone else? Hearing none, we will close public portion. Next item on the agenda are resolutions. Madam Clerk.
In the engineer's office, resolution authorizing change order number 3, Lake County Resurfacing Project 2023 with Cole Burton Contractors, LLC, decreasing the amount by $58,131.77. LCE project number 2022-019.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Pletcher.
Yes.
In the Utilities Department, resolution accepting a 3-year maintenance bond in the amount of $16,226 for Andrews Ridge Subdivision Phase 1, job number 22-34 in the city of Willoughby.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Pletcher.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Sewer Fund and Project Fund 554, Red Creek Sewer 280S. Sewer fund transfers out, appropriation is increased, and cash is transferred to Project 280S. Contracts projects appropriation is increased for purchase of generator and electrical upgrade.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Pletcher.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Solid Waste Fund and Project Fund 597, GCCS Improvements 2022 Project 458L 2021, Solid waste fund transfers out, appropriation is increased, and cash is transferred to Project 458L 2021, professional services consultants. Appropriation is increased for additional engineering services provided by Bell Environmental Engineering.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution approving plan specifications and estimates of costs in the amount of $9,857,725.10 for Red Creek Sanitary Sewer Improvements Contract A and Contract B, project number 280S, and advertising for bids for the same, bid opening February 28, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. President?
Mr. Commissioner Hammercheck?
Randy, you want to give us some background? This is kind of a big project.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of a big project, probably our largest infrastructure project other than some plant expansions that we've had. We've talked about projects that have been around for a long time, Madison Village being one. This one is actually my very first day here in 1998. I went to a meeting regarding this project and the agreement to make this project move forward. For various reasons, it's been held up over the years, but we're excited to move this project forward. It's a pump station near Mantle Road and the Grand River, a force main, about a mile force main, and then also about several thousand feet of 24-inch sanitary sewer that will go under the river, under Route 2, and under a railroad bridge. So very complicated project to get sanitary sewer service to the south side of Route 20 and east of the Casement area, Casement Road. It'll provide sanitary sewers to a significant area there, and then also relieve our other wastewater treatment plant at Heatherstone. So we're really looking forward to moving this project forward. We have a 0% loan from Ohio EPA in order to fund this, so we're very excited about this project moving forward.
And it's fair to say this will solve a number of problems in that area.
It will, yes. There's been, we have been unable to expand our sanitary sewer system because of our Heatherstone plant is at capacity. So this will allow for that over the next several years.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution certifying unpaid water and sewer sums and administrative charges to the Lake County Auditor.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution approving pay application number 6, release of retainage in the amount of $48,913.12 with Cole Burton Construction LLC for the Lake County Resurfacing Project 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution accepting the reappointment of Judy Moran as a member of the Region 13-1 Ohio Governance Board to represent the incorporated areas of Lake County for a 2-year term beginning March 30th, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. President?
Commissioner?
Just want to say Judy Moran, amazing individual. She's been incredibly helpful on the Region 13 board and helping set some standards that are being looked at statewide. So I just felt it was appropriate to get that pat on the back in there for her because she really does do a tremendous job on this board.
I can only agree. Former Commissioner Moran is representing Lake County with great distinction. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $2,072,165.85.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $1,659,232.57.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations for various non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Commissioner Pnik?
Yes.
Resolution transferring cash and appropriations within various non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Commissioner Plik?
Yes. With resolutions done, it's time for our departmental reports. Utilities.
Thank you, Commissioner. You all should have received our a memo regarding our proposed changes to our rules and regs for 2024. I hope to present that to the board for consideration in the next couple of weeks. I'll be happy to answer any questions about those. I can schedule a meeting with you sometime in the next couple of weeks and go over those. There really isn't anything significant, mostly clerical changes, but a couple policy changes also in there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Job and Family Services.
Good morning, Commissioners. I mentioned these events last week, but I wanted to share them again today for anyone in the public who may be here or watching this meeting. Tomorrow at the Ohio Means Jobs Career Center across the street, located inside the Job and Family Services building, is going to be our resume revision day. If anyone is interested in starting 2024 off with a new and improved resume, I would encourage folks to stop by tomorrow between 9 a.m. and noon. Our staff are really looking forward to this event and helping people revise their resumes and match them with available job orders that are currently pending. Also, next Wednesday, January 31st, we are having a Career Exploration Day. Again, this is being hosted by our Ohio Means Jobs team at our Career Center located across the street. This is going to be a new experience for us. Folks are invited to stop over and try virtual reality headsets to explore careers in in-demand fields right now. So that is next Wednesday, again from 9 a.m. until noon, and anyone is available to stop by. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the docket, our County Administrator. And Mr. Boyd, if I could ask you to please address some of the questions that were raised from public portion with respect to the senior panel and how senior levy funds are distributed.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioners. Thanks, everyone, for attending this morning. I did thank you for the opportunity to come to speak to Willoughby Hills on Tuesday. I'll reiterate some of the points that I made in our discussion at the Senior Center. I don't know how much time you want me to take, Commissioner, but I'll go as far and as long as needed.
Mr. Boyd, I would say people come a long way, so give them your full description. The
Sure.
folks deserve to know exactly how these decisions are made. And I also would say I feel badly for your staff, some of whom have been impugned today. I want to make sure it's very clear to the public the hard work that you engage in to make sure these decisions are done professionally and fairly. So I think it's important for you to go in depth so any confusion is resolved.
Yeah, I'll certainly try my best and happy to speak with anyone further in person if need be. I guess I'll start from a holistic standpoint, a general overview of the senior levy, which has been around the better part of 3 decades. I became deeply involved with the levy when I took this position in 2012. A lot of folks, the vast majority of the folks do not know how the funds were distributed prior to our involvement, the advisory panel, et cetera. Traditionally, the levy, which currently collects between $4.5 and $5 million on an annual basis, was distributed at that point in time up into a number of years ago to 10 senior centers, the Council on Aging, and RSVP of Lake County. Those funding decisions were essentially made amongst what was called, I believe it was called the coalition at the time, when the 10 senior center directors, RSVP of Lake County, and Council on Aging would get together and discuss their needs. And for a number of years, then proceeds of the levy were distributed to those communities for senior services throughout those particular communities. It's also important to note that the levy language reads senior services. I think there's a bit of a misconception that it says senior centers. Clearly a vital and important part of our senior services model, but there are a lot of other opportunities and challenges that I will note that we are beginning to address now with the levies. There is no doubt that the centers are a valued component to the service model. The MCS study that was completed in 2015 was instrumental in us pivoting, migrating to different business practices, i.e. having a reimbursement-based methodology by issuing these funds. As I noted a moment ago, the county used to literally cut checks to communities twice a year. That was the oversight. In my mind, and I know in this commissioner's mind and previous board's mind, we had to change that, and we do change that. We now have a reimbursement process that is based on what's called a subrecipient agreement that outlines it's essentially a contract. Here's what we plan on spending the money on. Then communities, Council on Aging, they front those costs, submit their request for payment back to the county where we review for an increased level of transparency for the senior levy funds. That has happened probably the better part of 5 or 6 years from that point in time. In addition, the MCS study from 2015 began to map to the best extent possible because the data was absent. There was not a lot of data. There was zero data on what was going on in the centers, who was going where, when, why, and the frequency of that. Just some basic GIS mapping, and I think one of the individuals talked about the proximity to senior centers on the western portion of the county. I'm a Willoughby resident. We do have 5 senior centers within a 5-mile radius when you do a concentric circle map on that side of town. We also have Menor. We had the city of Painesville, Fairport Harbor, Madison area, Perry area senior centers. In addition, the MCS study started to identify in 2015 gaps. Started to take a peek at the demographic trends. As the study noted, I know Ms. Majewski referenced it, by 2030, the demographics, the forecast looks to be 1 in 3 residents will be a senior in Lake County by 2030. That is a concern. 2015, we started to look at that. It became loud and clear that we have needs above and beyond the great things that occur in senior centers. And I can't stress that enough, that the things that go on in the centers, the senior community rooms, are vital. I don't want anyone to take away anything besides that. But we're also hearing from local leaders, it was a number of years ago, Judge Bartolotta, about our guardian needs. Aaliyah, who does a great job, is a guardian herself with our seniors. We've heard from Suzanne and her predecessor, Matt Battiato, on our Adult Protective Services Division, which we did not have up until 4 or 5 years ago. We now have a dedicated full-time Adult Protective Services Division within Suzanne's shop. I know there's various programs in municipalities that help with minor housing. Willoughby Hills has one, Willoughby has one, housing repair programs to keep seniors in their homes. The county never funded that. We now have an arrangement where we do those sorts of skills to keep seniors in their homes. I'm missing non-medical in-home care needs. We have an agreement, and a new agreement a couple years old with Council on Aging to provide services for those folks that are in their home for basic living skills. We did not have that. Those are 3 or 4, an agreement with Lake Tran. We never had an agreement with Lake Tran to assist with levy funds to get seniors to and from all of the centers in Lake County. Those are some of the needs that were identified in 15 and we have since executed. Meanwhile, continuing to fund the existing centers, with the exception of the city of Painesville, in a sustainable manner. As I noted, we're bringing in $4.5 to $5 million annually on the senior proceeds, and we routinely do not fund the requested asks that the folks request. Regarding volunteering, Kristen Kane is an employee of the county. She was the executive director of RSVP of Lake County for a number of years and did a phenomenal job. Our research indicated that there was a cost savings to the levy to bring Kristen and her efforts and skill sets into the county for our Lake County Volunteer Network. That is now, she works alongside Ms. Barajas, and we've probably saved $20,000 to $30,000 a year, and with certainty, deliver a better, more effective, broad-reaching volunteer program. So that's a handful of the examples of things that we do and why we do those things. In 2019, we did begin another research project, clearly with the mindset of data-driven results. An increased effort with GIS. Unfortunately, COVID happened, and I know we briefly spoke about this on Tuesday. We were starting, the senior centers were very gracious with their data sets. So we knew where people, we knew their memberships. We knew we were starting to get a handle on frequency of visitations, what they were doing there, where we have a duplication of services, and then COVID hit and everything shut down. Some of the preliminary conversations that started in 2019 were the amount of senior centers that we have in the county. Not that they weren't doing phenomenal jobs, because they do, but all right, we know in 2030, 1 in 3 residents is going to be a senior. Are we going to be able to meet those needs in these 10 centers? Unfortunately, COVID hit, everything shut down, and we are just now getting back on our feet with the My Senior Center software that we started with 2 pilot communities. I believe it was Madison and I can't remember the other one, who started the My Senior Center software where you go in, click an iPad, I'm here for this, that, and the other thing. We will begin over the next year to get a better handle on what's going on in the centers, what are we missing, et cetera. I wish, obviously, COVID would have not happened. We probably would have had maybe a different service model, a different funding strategy. But COVID, it was what it was, and we've now reset. We are just beginning another research project with a third party to start to identify what we think are going to be other just as significant gaps, and I mentioned this. Senior homelessness is a problem. Veteran housing, medical needs, these are all things that are eligible uses in the senior levy funds. So we're going to take the next year, probably shorter, and start to identify, are there other gaps in addition to home remodeling, home rehabilitation, volunteer guardian services, adult protective services, because I believe there are. It is a very, very challenging task. From 2012 to 2014 or 15, another employee, Priya Donna Tyson and I, along with Finance Director Matus at the we have tried to identify a methodology by which would be a fair, uniform funding for seniors. Per capita income, number of seniors in a community, educational attainment. We've looked at a plethora of options. It's just very, very difficult. The pie is, there's not enough resources in this county to fund every single senior demand, and it is difficult. And I did make a recommendation that based on the trends and some of the demographic analyses, I think the needs in the emerging needs that are coming at us are in addition to and beyond what happens in a senior center. And that is no disrespect to the senior centers because they do a phenomenal job. As far as funding, the methodology of the panel, the senior advisory panel was created a number of years ago, and they are that. They are an advisory panel that Aaliyah and I work with, Kristen Kane and Donna Tyson at the time, to bounce ideas, projects off of. They were at the table years ago trying to find an amicable funding solution. Very, very difficult. Funding applications go out. They are received similar to our CDBG process and other grants that we administer. We review those internally. Aaliyah and I meet, discuss, or another whatever agency that is. Planning Commission would be Rhea Benton and David Radacci. And we have discussions on what should our recommendations be. In this particular instance, they go to the panel. They meet 4 times a year. They are discussed. Recommendations are made. Ultimately, the decision via what's called our signature file process. A memo is put together by the staff member, in this instance, Aaliyah and I, with recommendations, and those goes to the commissioners. Subsequent to that, after that process, then there are what's called sub-recipient agreements that are all available. Those are, I will call the contracts. Those are reviewed by the prosecutor's office, which identifies the program that we are going to fund, the timing of the funding, and the reimbursement method. That has been past practice since I took the administrator's job. None of that was done prior to. None of that was done prior to. I appreciate and understand the concerns. We will take a look at our processes. The advisory panel is an advisory panel. They make recommendations to us. We are expanding the advisory panel to 7 members, I believe, for additional input. I am always ears wide open, happy to take calls, but in this particular instance, yes, I made a recommendation based on my 10 years in this field, sustainability of funds, and the emerging trends that are coming at us, and other input from community leaders. I'll use Judge Bartolotta, for example, a couple of years ago, Matt Battiato, as I referenced on, hey, you guys are missing the boat on elder abuse or senior fraud. So those are eligible expenses that I am trying to delicately balance in a sustainable manner to make sure we're trying to meet the needs of the seniors to the best of extent of the funds that are available. Commissioner Pleshik, that's...
Thank you. Next would be our clerk.
I have more other items.
Oh, you do?
I do. And I'm happy to answer any more questions on the previous topic. Relating to Region 13, the One Ohio, that's our, Commissioner Hammercheck, if I mess this up, you'll correct me, our collaborative effort with a couple other counties. But in addition to Ms. Moran's membership, I am also finalizing a process by which the commissioners can consider our existing opioid settlement funds. We have community leaders, municipalities who have some ideas to combat the opioid crisis. I have those proposals in front of me, but we have outside counsel who's familiar with the One Ohio litigation that's going to lend a hand to me to review projects and say, similar to what we do with ARPA and McDonald Hopkins, where I review internally and then I get an attaboy memo from outside counsel to make sure that my review is in accordance with the law. I should have that contract buttoned up by next week. I will be able to sit down with the commissioners, and our One Ohio delegation, if you will, Commissioner Hammercheck, to talk about some of the ideas that I've heard from Judy herself. I have a meeting with Juvenile Judge De Leon next Friday, because as folks know or may not know, we have some settlement funds already in account here in Lake County above and beyond our bellwether trial that we're pending additional action from the court. So that's the second item on Region 13. And finally, I'll try to be brief, just my weekly update on the Lake County Public Safety Center. We have nearly concluded or at the conclusion point of schematic design. I've said this a number of times. This is a three-tiered approach. This would probably signify the end of the second or third inning of a 9-inning ball game. We are almost ready to proceed to what's called the design development stage, where the design team, contractors, et cetera, will take all the information, schematics, and take that to the next level of detail. That's approximately a 16 to 18 week process. Subsequent to the design development, we'll then go into the GMP, where we'll start to really hone in on that pricing. So I will give you a correspondence in the near term, my recommendation to proceed to design development with HOK. That does not require any additional contract, any additional dollars. That is baked into the initial contract, but this is one of those benchmarks in the road. Thanks to Sheriff Lino Bruno, Chief Deputy Izzo, and their whole team, Mark Guy, Felice, Paul Stefanko, for the hours and hours and hours that we've put into this thus far, and we're just getting started. So we're looking at the next stage to start in the next week at about a 16 to 18 week timeline. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the county administrator? Hearing none, our clerk.
Yes, I wanted to mention that our commissioner meeting next week is going to be held on Tuesday, January 30th, 10 a.m. here in Chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal.
No reports, Commissioner.
You win the prize today. Okay. Next up, we have old business. Any old business for the commission?
Not here.
Any new business? Hearing none. We have a request for executive session to discuss personnel and employment. No business will be conducted after this executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn into executive session for personnel and employment?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Commissioner Plichnik.
Yes.